Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Insider, brought to you, just for a change, by Vanishing Inc. My guest today is a successful theatre and movie actor, director, has spent coming up for, I think, 20 years? Collaborating. More. Over 20 years. Collaborating.
With Derren, yeah. Sorry,
yeah.
I'll shut up.
Over 20 years collaborating, writing and directing Derren Brown's television and theatre work. He broke someone's nose in a séance. It's Andy Nyman. Andy, how are you this afternoon?
Oh, that's very good. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm delightful, thank you. What's your magic origin story? You've got 26 seconds.
Magic origin story is I've always been a little bit embarrassed by my little stubby hands. So I always loved sort of mimey things when I was a kid. I had an uncle, my Uncle Harold, who did a brilliant magic trick that he would do for like 15 years or something. Every time I went to his house, he bought me a magic set when I was a kid, which I never really did much of, but loved the design and the feel of the things. And then I fell out of love with it. And then when I was at drama school, when I was like 21, Jeremy Dyson, who is my oldest friend and writing, directing collaborator, moved to London, and he said, I want to go to Davenport's. Come with me. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I'm 21. I haven't done magic since I was a baby. We walked into the shop and it was like instant addiction just came flooding back. So that was it. So that's, 30, the best part of 35 years ago of obsession with it. Is that 26 seconds?
Yeah, no, that's fine. We'll let you roll with it. Why do you think mentalism makes such an impact on an audience? Why is it the only branch of magic that people find themselves willing to believe?
Well, I mean, what's amazing, Damien, is you asked that question. When I started doing mentalism, that was not the case. It was not in vogue. It was old-fashioned. The perception was it was old-fashioned. It was cobwebby. It was arch. It was daft. No, nobody did it. There was me. Graham Jolly was the master. Still sort of is. He's phenomenal. There was me and Mark Paul here, who were working at Marvin's at the same time, and both got into it. And Mark is a brilliant magician, Mark, and a brilliant mentalist, and has continued to make his living that way. That was it. There was Max in America. No one did it. I loved it. I stumbled into it because it was such a sort of naked form of magic, in so much that as an actor it felt like, whilst I love props and all that stuff, there weren't props, and it felt to me like it was really exciting. And what's amazing is, of course, here we are 25 years after that happening, and it is, it's, as you say, the most powerful form of magic. I think that's the thing that for me was always really interesting, and that was sort of the appeal, was it was the only branch of magic, to my mind, that left a genuine question mark for an audience. No matter how you did it, if there was comedy in it, whatever, it didn't matter. There was a power that they know when you take that sponge ball and it goes from their hand and appears in theirs. As phenomenal as that trick is, they know something's happened. They know something's happened when you saw the woman in half. They know something's happened when the motorbike vanishes. But if they like you and they like the performance and that they're entertained, they go along with it. They're complicit in that game. That is not the case with mentalism. With mentalism, your audience is left thinking, hang on, how? And that can be the most rudimentary mentalism to the most sophisticated. It's a really amazing thing. It's a really amazing branch of magic.
It totally is. But you also clearly love magic. At Blackpool 2 years ago, I filmed your reaction when you saw Switch 1, and you reacted like a kid. Even after all of your experience and understanding of the craft. So how often does that happen to you to get that kid feeling?
As often as I can.
Excited.
I mean, as often as I can. I'm looking around my study at the moment, and it is like, a kid's study. And the thing is, myself and Preston, my son, who feels the same way about magic, we started this convention last year, the London Magic Convention. And part and parcel of that, of the drive to do that, was the past 18 months have obviously been very difficult and very grim for everybody, particularly grim for people who make their living in show business. But within the British magic scene, it has been brutal in terms of the bullshit that's been going on in the magic circle, all the backstabbing online, all the politics of it all. It's been absolutely wretched, and it feels like it was destroying that community. Truly, I mean, that's not an exaggeration to say that. You were watching, I'm not on Facebook, but Preston is, and I would hear stories, and I was involved in other ways, but you were seeing, certainly in London, that magic community being so toxified that it was really, I didn't know that it would survive. And one of the things that Preston and I wanted to do was to have a convention that was just fun, that just reminded people that we love this shit. We love that. I do magic, because I love it. I barely perform it, but I just love being surrounded by it and surrounded by the people of it and looking at the toys and looking at the things and learning a bit of brilliant new thinking. And we wanted to just try and reinvigorate and reinfuse and remind people of, just forget all of that crap and remember that's why we do it. So the honest answer, Damien, is that feeling that I can never understand it when magicians are like, yeah, it's kind of nice. Every
lecture at the Magic Circle.
Yeah, I like nice use of the principle. I do a thing. Let me show you this thing that I, as opposed to just. Now, admittedly, we're all a bit guilty of that, because the more you do it, the more you know, and the more you're like, okay, yeah. But what you really want, what you crave, are those moments where you're like, fuck, no, do it again. And there are plenty of those to be had. And plenty of those when you're looking through books and looking at just pictures and catalogues. And it's just a wonderful thing. But we just have to make sure that we're not embarrassed to be like that. It's something I come up against a lot and think about a lot when creating as well, is that being enthusiastic it's never been cool. It's much cooler to be offhand. It's much cooler to be unimpressed. It's much cooler to be low investment. And the thing that goes hand in hand with that is, because when you're really invested and you're really excited and I don't mean manufacturing it, I genuinely feel like that, the capacity for embarrassment and failure is much greater. Because when you're openly enthusiastic or openly trying to do new stuff or openly trying to be, then it's really easy to be pulled down a peg or two, or to set yourself up for, you thought that'd be brilliant, didn't you? You thought people would love that trick. They didn't. You thought the convention would go well. No, people hated it. You thought that I did it all the time. So it's much easier to be offhand and cool, and it's sort of self-protection.
You're less vulnerable.
You're less vulnerable. It's exactly the word. So I think you just have to be. Why not?
Yeah. How did you and Derren meet? I understand that Andrew O'Connor initially offered you the gig.
So I got a phone call. I remember it so clearly. I was outside the Wyndham's Theatre in the West End. I was waiting to meet someone, and I got a phone call from Andrew O'Connor saying, my name's Andrew O'Connor. I run a a company called Objective TV, and we want to offer you a 1-hour mentalism special on Channel 4. I mean, a sort of dream phone call if that's what you want, except I didn't want it at all. To which it's exactly what I said. I said, "Oh, that's great, thank you, that's really kind, but I'm not a magician, I'm an actor, and it just wouldn't make me happy, so thank you anyway." Which I think is not normal. I think
you're probably right.
So he said, "Well, look, why don't you come for lunch with me and my partner, Michael Vine, and my business partner, and we can talk about this." I was like, "Okay." So we went for lunch with him and Michael, and I showed them a couple of tricks, and they said, "Look, we really, really want you to do it, and we think it'll be probably about 5 years of work, and we think it'll be this sort of money." And it was a lot of money over 5 years. I was an out-of-work actor, married with 2 children, mortgage, and no concrete prospects. But I knew it wouldn't make me happy. I knew that it wouldn't make my wife happy because she feels the same way as I do. So I just said, "Oh no, it's not what I want." But and this was, thank God, the moment of, if I ever look back and think that was a good thing to say, it was this. I said, "Look, but whoever you find, you like my ideas and my style, and I'll write and direct whoever you find." Well, that was, the right thing to say. And then they came to me. They came to see me a couple of times live. At that point, I was sort of performing when I was out of work as an actor, and I did Monday Night Magic, and it just, I didn't always kill, but I killed the night they came, which was good fortune. And I remember very clearly O'Connor running on stage, she go, "We're begging you, do the show." I was like, no, it's not what I want. Anyway, about 5 months later, they phoned me and said, "Jerry Sadowitz has recommended this guy to us, Derren Brown, and we think he's really interesting. Have you seen him or know anything about him?" And I'd seen him at International in the competition, and he was absolutely incredible. But not only incredible, it was really disturbing. And I thought, well, I know a lot about magic, and I don't know what the fuck is going on here. Either these people are stooges. I mean, sort of like a layman, reduced to being a layman.
Yeah.
These people are stooges.
It must be a stooge. Yeah. I've got no method.
Got nothing to cling on to here. And of course they weren't stooges. It was just Derren's absolutely extraordinary sideways thinking on stuff. And so they said, "Look, we think we're going to go with him. Do you two want to get together and see if you get on? Because we'd love you to write and direct his performance." I was like, "Okay." And it was Macmillan's was coming up. So we met up at Macmillan's to see if we got on. Well, we got on like a house on fire. We made each other laugh so much. And then I showed him something and he showed me something. And we just got on really well. So then they put us together, and that was it. And that's 20 years. 20 plus. What I'm talking about. 1999, that was.
Right.
And so I wrote with Derren the first probably decade of TV with him, all the while whilst I'd go off and do a play or do a film or whatever. It somehow, by some amazing alchemy, just always seemed to work dates-wise. But I was getting busier and busier. And also television is just a devouring, insatiable monster that, as you're finishing Trick of the Mind series 2 or whatever, it's like, okay, now don't forget we've got the special coming up and we need to know the methods on or the plot on the... It was just too much. It just became too much in terms of what other stuff I was doing. And so the last telly I worked on was the lottery prediction, which was also maybe the most stressful. It was more stressful than Russian roulette. It was absolutely nerve-jangling. That live broadcast was... I cannot begin to describe the stress to you. There was me, I'll never forget it, me, Andrew O'Connor, Anthony Owen, bless him, and Andrew Nyman, who at that point was, I don't know if he was head of Channel 4 or something like that. Must have been commissioning editor of Channel 4 or something. He looked like a cadaver. He was ashen. There were like there was like 5 of us in the live broadcast room. It wasn't like a massive team. It was like Derren, camera, us. And Andrew Nyman left the room because he couldn't stand it. There was Anthony was sort of in a slightly fetal position. I thought, I am going to puke into this dustbin. I am so I can't bear it. And O'Connor was just sort of letting it wash over him, but looked pretty grey. It was so, I mean, it's a very fond memory, but it was enough to make me think, I'm really, truly, I can't do any more.
What was generating the nerves so
Whether
much?
it was going to
The
work.
Liveness, the
it was
methods,
live. A bit of everything. It was live. I mean, Russian roulette was also like terrifying live. But there was something about Russian roulette, about the lottery prediction that was so high stakes as well. And so we didn't know whether the method would work. We didn't know whether the prediction would work. We didn't know whether... there was just so much. So it was so nerve-wracking. And that was... It was already at a point where I was so busy acting-wise that I just thought, okay, this is a good place to stop this.
Right.
And then I've just continued doing the theatre now. The theatre's the only thing that I do with Derren, and it's wonderful. And now it's Derren and Andrew. The 3 of us have done the past 2 shows or something like that, 3 shows maybe. And that's a really blissful collaboration.
Oh no, it's an astonishing collaboration. What's the difference between a theatre show and a magic show?
You mean a theatre show as an actor, or a theatre?
No. Like for because it seems that the work that you do with Derren on stage is more theatrical than a lot of other magic shows. So, what's the difference between a theatrical magic show and a magic show?
That's a good question. Well, I remember very clearly when Andrew and Michael said, "Look, we want to do a stage show." Mind Control Live. We'd like you to direct it if you want to do that. And the very first show, Peter Clifford helped direct it with me as well. But it was very clear to me, because I'm so obsessive about theatre. It was very important to me that if we were going to do that, it should never ever feel like a magician doing a magic show. It should always be what you're giving that audience is a piece of theatre. You take them on a journey, and the show, it's a show that goes somewhere. So within those 6 tricks that you end up doing throughout the night, there's something that threads them together, and there's something that, what do you want to say? What do we want to say? What do we think about the way the world is at the moment? One of the things that I think is so special about Showman, the new show, and where I'm very proud of our work, but in particular Derren, actually, it's amazing seeing this show, seeing Derren perform this show, because what you're seeing is the work of a man is in his middle age, and it's written by 3 middle-aged men, which kills me to say that sentence, because I think of myself as, well, I can't say 26 anymore because my kids are 27 and 24, but I think of myself as a young, vibrant man with achy knees. But we are 3 middle-aged men, and what to me I'm very proud of and very excited about in this show, which I think is our best stage show, is you're seeing exactly that. You're seeing a very truthful show that isn't a man trying to cling on to his youth, trying to still look the same as he did when he was doing his first show when he was 28 or whatever it was, or 30, and because you're a different creature. Mm-hmm. And the material really reflects that. And And this all goes back to what you were asking about it being theatre. It's always been important to myself and Derren and Andrew, as it is with myself and Jeremy when we're writing, that you've got something to say. And by that I don't mean, your opinion's the most important opinion in the world, but people are paying to come and see your work because of something that you give. So what is that you want to give this time? And that's one of the things that makes writing and creating really difficult, aside from the fact you've just got to have the ideas. But it's not as simple as just the ideas. It's what sits under that. And you've got to really work at that. But Derren is, you know, I don't think people do underestimate, but I just, very often people talk about, well, you know, and, you know, I'll hear sort of Andy's he's the brains behind it, or he's the man who... You must never underestimate Derren's contribution. I mean, there's no question, we are a very good collaboration, myself and Derren. We're a very good yin and yang, and Andrew is also part and parcel of that, and he's phenomenal. But Derren is incredible. He's an incredible thinker. He's a brilliant writer. And he has grown and changed so much over the years. He's really, really brilliant and a joy to work with. So, yeah.
Whenever I've seen video of the two of you together, you just seem to be laughing.
Well, that is the key.
Making each other laugh.
But I mean, that also goes back to what you were saying before. You want it. Don't get me wrong. There are moments. There are hours of agonising silence, whilst you are trying to work it out, and walking home feeling like, oh fucking hell, why are we doing another? I certainly get like that. They may not. But then what you truly want is for it to be joyous fun, because that is the best place creatively in whatever you do, whether it's rehearsals as an actor, whether it's trying to create a magic trick, whether trying to write a new lecture, trying to create a magic show. If it's not fun, what is the point? Yeah.
When false explanations of effects like the famous Animal Heaven ad agency bit come about, and people buy it and indeed still talk about it today as if it was real, do you feel dirty or delighted?
Somewhere between the two. Somewhere between the two. It's also worth pointing out that brilliant ad agency routine was written by Richard McDougall. I was going up to see whose idea that was. Yeah, that was a creation of his thinking. I was away doing a film and I came back and they said, yeah, Rich McD was working on that, and he only worked on one special, but he was absolutely brilliant, and that was one of his ideas. And funnily enough, that was an idea that kind of set a template actually that has been not only used by us, but has been stolen by a million magicians.
By everyone.
Everyone. Yeah. Excuse me. And so, yeah, I mean, there are times, definitely. But the thing I always come back to, that I always will say to people, is you've got to remember it's entertainment. You're watching a TV show. You've got to take it all with a pinch of salt, all of it. There are no camera tricks. There are no stooges. But within that, in the way that you would when you see the stage show, there's a lot going on in its presentation, in the plots. One of the things that I love about Derren, and when I say Derren, I mean the Derren brand, that what has become, you know, his sort of canon of work, is that I love the fact very often you'll go and see a show, and when something feels and looks like it's just hypnosis, it'll be, you know, 5 solid magic methods going on. And sometimes when you think, that's a solid magic method, it'll be hypnosis, or it'll be this, or it'll be that. There's such a merging of the worlds that we use that are at our disposal. So I don't feel dirty really about it. I mean, you know, I just sort of nod and, oh, wow, yeah, no, that's, yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, remember, it's a TV show. So, but yeah, I'm glad you loved it. You know.
My uncle who also got me into magic used to work in market research, and he told me when I said that had you on the show that several billboard ad agencies have used that clip to prove the efficacy of outdoor advertising.
It's that's where it's shocking. When I'll go to, we're doing this big new movie, and we'd love to talk to you about subliminally affecting the audience to create a, and then you're in a slightly, because what you don't want to say is, what are you talking about?
Cheated.
Grow up.
So what do you say?
Well, there's a balance, isn't there, actually? There's a really interesting thing, because when we're making the film of ghost stories, you can absolutely use sounds that are unsettling an audience without them knowing. Mm-hmm. That is sort of in a subliminal way. So you can talk about the things that are legit. You can talk about, there are the subliminal flashes in The Exorcist that are truly unsettling and powerful, that go by sort of registered but unregistered. But in terms of, can you take a terribly written film and make it really effective by using subliminals? The answer is no. Can you take a really well-written thing and maybe make it a bit more powerful using this, that, or the other? Yeah, maybe, but just probably write it well first.
Oh, yeah. Talking of ghost stories, when I saw it in the theatre, I don't remember being more scared in my life. And it haunted me for months after. About 3 months afterwards, I was driving in Devon down a little twickly-twackly lane, and my heart started palpitating months after I saw the play. How does it, and I know I'm not on my own, but how does it feel to create something that resonates and stays with people that long?
Thrilling beyond words is the honest answer. I mean, it's absolutely the most amazing thing. It's the most amazing thing. It's taken me a long time as well to accept that is also the case with the Derren stuff, because of my acting, and I've always been very linear about, I'm an actor and the magic is I've always kept them very separate. I've always had a slightly uncomfortable relationship with magic. So if in the lovely occasions when people say, oh, I'm a big fan of your work, I don't feel happy until I hear what it is. And that, up until a few years ago, if they said, oh, my son, or we love Derren and we love I always, not anymore, I certainly used to sort of die a little death, because I think, oh, bloody hell, why don't they say they saw me in that and they liked that, And then I sort of did some proper thinking and had a real talk to myself about, if you can create anything that resonates in any way with people as an artist, and I don't mean artist in a highfalutin way, I just mean as someone who's worked in the arts, if you can create something that people love on any level, that is a truly amazing thing. But ghost stories, yeah, it is incredibly wonderful and exciting to hear that, because it's also tied up with, Jeremy's been my best friend since I was 15.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a culmination of actually not the culmination, the beginning of so many projects and things. But the fact that he and I, giggling, wrote a play that we thought, if we were 15 and we went to the theatre and saw, what play would we want to see? Oh, imagine if there was someone driving and, this happened. And we did it. And people love it. And it's still going on and still having meetings 12 years later. The thing is, fingers crossed, potentially about to come back to theatres again. And the film people love. And so it's just so exciting to hear that, Damien. I love that.
The play scared me so much I haven't watched the film.
Oh, you should watch the film. It's very different. Yeah, it's very...
No, you messed me up so much. It was 3 months afterwards when I was driving. 3 months.